actually.
We
So
did.
we were catching up on everything, but he's doing
Wow.
fine.
Glacier. Yeah, and then we just did a road call. Yeah.
No, I
We had a
think
very
not
good
go
trip.
this
We
year.
had a very good trip, so.
You know what? He's getting tired of traveling.
He went, he didn't.
It's such a long way.
It's-
So anyway, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Usually he
it
goes
was.
in October. But one of the
No,
relatives
it was.
visiting, takes care of like his all the girls.
On the glacier, and I'm really glad
He
we
still
said
has a
no.
condo over there.
Because
He
just
loves
in the
his
last
house.
3 months, he's
Mark
degenerated
is
significantly. I mean, we knew it was happening, but when you're with someone for 7 days, we're in
We'll see.
disembarking in Vancouver. And the
Yeah.
Canadian TSA
Mary
comes
says
up
you've
to
been
me
home
and
about a
says,
week.
"What's your medical emergency?" They thought he was having a heart attack.
You're brave, you like to
And I had
die.
spent 3
You don't mind
days
to learn.
trying to tell Judy, you gotta get him on preventative oxygen.
Oh,
Because he looks like he's
so she did all of that.
constantly. He was,
I
he
don't
would
like
get
driving
so
in the mountains because I'm
out
never
of
sure about
breath
what rate to fly.
that he would get lightheaded. He couldn't walk. This was going up 10 or 15 stairs at sea level. It was, I mean, it was that bad, and he would stumble from the dizziness from not being able to breathe. So, yeah, so it's gonna be, you know, the good news is we have to have some conversations to help manage it. Good news doesn't have to
She
be all.
better aware than she was.
She, you know, it's one of those, you have
Brian, when did-
awareness, but not willing to act.
open-
Close to
yeah.
the public on Labor Day,
So
but
so we would say stuff that she
just
said,
recently
"Wherever
reached an
we're going to
agreement
the
with
doctor,
the
the
Flyers
doctor would
to-
say, well, he's fine. Well, he's fine for
Keep it open?
well, they're gonna kind
Man
of
who
head
has never
north from
exercised,
us
used to smoke.
from Labor Day until like October
Wow.
22nd.
Has had 2 aneurysms, has steel plates in his brain. He's,
Yeah,
it's like-
yeah. I mean, yeah, you could work something out with them probably during their practice time. Yeah,
The
You'll
fact
swim
is
laps.
that he's diabetic, borderline diabetic, but you're letting him have 2 donuts instead of 6.
October, yeah.
You know,
I
and
mean,
so we were able to very conversationally say, Adam, take
Yeah.
one donut
They
and
are-
put in a scrambled egg, you need some protein in there. And so we were able to do some of that.
Well,
So I think that'll be
we're not
good.
going to open it to the public, so a lot of, their coaches are like lifeguard.
And we
Yeah,
are,
they do their own
unfortunately, have to
lifeguards.
take his car
Yeah,
away.
their coaches.
Which
are
I knew
like
we wanted
lifeguards,
to do
so,
10 years ago, but
Yeah,
now
but they'll
he got lost.
they'll cover. They're covering the full cost.
Yes, the scoring, right.
And we tried to always do sit down, but that's the same meal.
I never got over there.
He got lost. In the room, yeah, so it's,
Well,
It's
I
extreme.
think so, but I'm not sure.
so, and
yet. I haven't got
we
out
all
to
get
eat
there
yet.
eventually, but it's time
He
to,
had, couldn't drive,
you know?
and very slick.
We're gonna change your
Is
activity.
that right?
Change your structure, is what I mean by we all get there eventually, right?
Hey,
And she's gotta, she can't just admit it, she's gotta act on it. And we have to change how we help her get there. Because we have to own some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Go for it.
Knowing that we're gonna have this big
usually have
turnout, about donuts.
I got him out.
oh yeah.
You mean Lamar's doesn't deliver?
Donuts are now his diet. That's right. Low fat ones. huh?
Yeah.
Welcome. I know Alan's not going to be here this morning, so I think we probably have a full contingent. So welcome to August. Before we know it, it's going to be September, huh?
Yeah.
And then, no, it's hard to believe.
Where did the summer go?
Yeah.
And our Christmas parties at the firehouse, right? As long as we're talking fall.
Christmas party at the firehouse? Did I miss something?
Well, I think so.
No,
Well,
I
we've
think
talked
it
about that.
Waltz.
Waltz.
Oh, at Waltz.
Waltz
Okay.
Clubhouse.
Waltz
Okay.
Rexon
Oh, yeah,
or something.
Rexon.
Oh, okay.
Tell me the date so I can reserve it, please.
I thought of that. We might have to reserve that
Early.
ahead of time.
Earlier, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to consult with
Oh, good
the
idea.
person here.
Okay.
Does that have to be probably reserved way ahead of time?
Oh, in the next month.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
especially,
couple of days.
Especially that time of year.
We'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, right.
I'm so disruptive.
The snowbirds fly to the south.
Yeah, right, I'll be in the
Actually,
south.
flying
Because, you know,
And welcome back to Bob, too, so. How you doing,
Nice.
Bob?
Glad to be back.
Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm getting better, thank you.
Good, I hope so. And welcome back to Mary and David. You had your
Thank you.
symbolic trip off to the mountains?
Yes.
Went well.
Yeah, I did.
Turned
Beautiful.
into a vacation, I think. You were
We did a little bit, yeah. It was beautiful.
good. Like Crystal River Valley.
Yeah, I've not been there before. Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We'll call a meeting to order, and I guess last month's deposing wasn't permanent, so I'm back in the chair seat here.
Oh. I'm only the vice president.
Chair of Vice. Okay, so we'll begin with the minutes. Karen, please.
Meeting minutes for July 15th. Meeting was called to order by Vice Chairperson Mary Cartwright. In attendance were commission members Denzel Ackland, Mary Cartwright, Larry Dorsey, Lindsay Llewellyn, Bob Morgan, Katie Olson, Errol Walagorski, and Karen Walagorski. Staff, Tori Peterson, Town Board Member Joe Cirilli, and others, David Cartwright, Gail Casana, and Gerald Zancanelli. We welcome Denzel, who is back visiting in Colorado. The minutes of the June 17th meeting were read. Wally Walagorski moved they be approved. Denzel Ackland seconded the motion, and the motion carried. Treasurer's reports were given as follows. Bob Morgan reported that the fire truck account currently has a balance of $202. Tori reported there is $1,415.22 in the 2016 Historic Preservation account. The Capital Improvement account has a balance of $5,000. Old business. Debriefings were discussed as follows. There were less than 5 visitors at the June 18th museum opening and approximately 20 at the July 2nd opening. Everyone was excited to see the newly painted historic fire truck lead the 4th of July parade. Wally pointed out that there is a safety and health issue with exhaust coming into the cab of the fire truck. During the pancake breakfast, our booth was not in the best location in the park, with crowds and a lot of activity on both sides of us. It was also noted that it might be better if the juice and the syrup be located closer together so that people are not waiting in 2 lines with their plates of pancakes. David Cartwright reported on the Anfram meeting held on June 20th at the Gold Hill Museum. Mary and David Cartwright and Walt and Carol Ackerman attended, and all agreed that it is a wonderful museum. The Cataloging Filing Committee had no news to report this month. There's no news on the Oral History Video Project. There's no news on the Superior Information in Wikipedia project. All were very pleased with the work completed on the fire truck. Mile High Classics has indicated that they would like to display the truck in a car show in November. All agreed this is a great idea, and in return, Mile High will do some additional work on the inside of the cab. Larry stated that the Railroad Museum has a spare fire department ladder, which might work on our truck. Wally stated that he will bring the cream separator back to the museum and work on it at a later date. The new museum sign has been installed, looks great, and can be seen from Marshall Road. Karen announced that no correspondence was sent this past month. Cards will be mailed in the near future to the Cartwrights on the passing of Mary's brother and to Cheryl for her recent trip to the ER. Members again discussed the need for a railing on the east end of the museum back porch. Members agreed that the Grasso Park structures have first priority for 2016 capital improvement projects. There was no new discussion on the museum display ideas for 2016 and 2017 presented in the June meeting. Katie suggested that we might have the Boy Scouts help clean out the barn and then either get rid of the display case that we no longer want or move it to the back of the barn. We need to set a date for the cleanup. New business, staffing for the museum openings on July 16th and August 6th was discussed. The Boulder Heritage Roundtable is scheduled for July 21. Larry is not available to go, but anyone is free to go. The next NFRAM meeting is August 15th at the Loveland Historical Society. There is no news on the second grade field trips as of now. We have a new supply of coloring books. The commission noted that the sign by the mine cart in Asti Park has faded and can no longer be easily read. Members asked Tori if the old mine cart is still going to be moved from the Parks and Rec building area to the town hall area. She will refer this item to Brian. Katie introduced the subject of our acquiring the old school building from Danny Kaufman. We will let the town know that this is a top priority to the commission. A couple members may go have a friendly discussion with Danny concerning the building. Members are going to walk over by the cemetery before our next meeting to see if it is feasible to have a tombstone tour this fall. Denzel Ackland moved that the meeting be adjourned at 11:45 and Bob Morgan seconded the motion. Anyone available was invited to go to lunch with Denzel at Old Chicago. Our next meeting will be August 19th.
Any additions or corrections? Number 8, you might put Cheryl Dorsey in case people may not know who Cheryl that is.
Oh, good idea.
Thank you. Anything else? Motion to accept the meetings as corrected.
So moved.
Walt
Second.
and Mary second. All in favor, say Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Okay.
Such a serious.
Okay. That's very formal, I know that.
Good luck with that.
Oh, no.
Do that.
Yes. Okay, so, treasurer's report, Mr. Morgan?
Well, first of all, I've got a question. Was there any money collected during the museum openings that I weren't there? That I wasn't there. So the fire truck account still remains at $202.00.
Brian?
Yeah, the historic preservation account balance is $1,393.01.
139301.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget the old one.
That's the tax.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll go through the,
Is the capital improvement still 5,000?
Yeah.
Thank you.
nothing spent on that, huh?
Okay.
Okay. And museum opening on July 16th and August 6th. So, we have quite a few people on the 16th, I think. No, we didn't have so many people on the 16th. We had more on the 6th.
Did you?
Yeah, there was the one, 2 people had come in when I left at noon,
Which day?
on the 16th. That was all.
Yeah, I don't think we had very many.
I was there on the 6th.
Six,
Yeah.
you know, I said, isn't it all? I think both, I think the 6 had a reasonably good turnout, maybe 10, 15.
Yeah, and a lot of the people stayed along, they weren't flybys. They were, one couple stayed, the gal who moved in, was next to the porch.
Mm-hmm.
She she stayed 30, 40 minutes
Oh, yeah. it's
Yeah.
next to the porch.
next to the porch.
Got interest in it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'd say probably in the neighborhood of 5 on the 16th and maybe about 15 on the 6th. I was very interested in the 6th that Danny Kupner brought his granddaughter there. And you talk about a whole different appearance on Danny's part. He was patting her on the back and pointing this, that, and see, honey, you've got to know this, and you need to know
And
that.
he was very command presence. Yeah,
Ah,
very, yeah. I mean, we were not,
Yeah,
he was
We were
showing his stuff. Yeah, it was fun to see.
yeah.
Yeah, but we were just,
Bystander.
So this is his granddaughter who went to Harvard.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that should cover that over. I can't think of anything else. The tail is there and provided nice
they provided you lunch.
macaroni and cheese for Larry. Let's see, round table, I did not get to either one of those. But dealing with my grandkids, I just couldn't quite get there yesterday, so. Loveland Historical Society.
Well, I brought some extra brochures. These are for people to look at and keep. It was super. It was really, really, really well done. You can see a little bit about, what is it, step 3? See a little bit about the house. They just got, the town was going to raise it in '09 or something like that. And people got together, and it took them about 2 or 3 years for the town to say, oh yeah, I guess we will save it, and turn it over to them for $1 a year. And they have completely redone what was a
Wow.
shambles.
All volunteer, huh?
Yeah, all
Wow.
volunteer.
100-some members.
Yeah, 170 members.
Oh, so they have the Historical Society.
Yeah, I think they all came together with, these are just some other things that are happening from Boulder County or something, and people are
Did you also
interested.
go to that cemetery?
Yes, we went to the cemetery afterwards. Yeah, and the chairman of, the gal who organized it, Sharon, said if we ever wanted to have a group field trip up there, besides seeing the museum, she'd take us on a driving tour of other historic sites, which might be sort of fun to do. And the lunch was fantastic. If you ever go to Loveland, Main Street Catering did the lunch, and it was way above and beyond most sandwich things, wouldn't you say, David?
Yes,
Yeah.
Great.
And did you and David go? Did anyone else go?
No.
Just the Cartwrights. And where's the next one going to be, Mary?
Louisville.
Oh, that's what I think.
Louisville. It's a workshop meeting, but it's going to be at Louisville. The Methodist Church is having their 125th, I think. And yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and
They
so.
had a really nice program at the Louisville Library
Oh, did
about
they?
a month ago, recreating some of the historical characters.
Oh,
People
right.
dressed up in costume and
Right.
told their story. It was very nice, really nice. So I think they're getting together with the Louisville Museum.
Well, if
Right,
that's
yeah.
the workshop one, then that's that next month.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's usually September. And October would be that's the place.
Yeah. Where's October? I should remember. Do you remember where the October meeting is? Oh, okay. Maybe I've had it. Right.
Well, thanks for going.
Yeah, it was, we were,
But what's interesting, I wondered if they put that picture in the 2013 flood.
oh, yeah, if you didn't
Because
open it up
was
to
just
see.
This little
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
That's a pretty amazing shot, isn't it?
Surrounded by water, and it never got to the house, and
Wow.
everybody was ready to sandbag and everything else.
Right.
Because there was a house, and it never got there for some
Yeah.
strange reason.
Wonderful.
And they wonder if the original, the Milner family sort of purposely built it on this little knoll, not very
Just built
high.
on a small hill.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Rise in the dirt.
Gosh. Good planning, huh?
But they were doing serious, we gotta protect this house at that point.
cemetery is, it's the family of the man who built the original toll bridge over the Big Thompson River.
Hmm.
From Rutland. He was a Hispanic American, Mario Medina.
Oh, yeah.
Some of his family. It was neglected for many, many years, and they're not sure quite if they got in the cemetery. But they've done quite a lot of work there in the last decade or so.
It's right on the Cherokee Trail, you know, from Bent's Fort to Fort Bridger, the book says. But so it was actually quite a busy thoroughfare in those days. Still is.
Thank you. So catalog, you want to speak to that?
Oh. Funny you'd ask. No.
That's right there on
I was just thinking, we really spent our time last Friday really in putting a lot of photos, thanks to you-know-who over there. And they usually turn out pretty well. You could tell what the object is. Which I think is really important to have that documented. And then we try to make a note, to really identify the object so people can, if anybody researches ever, they can really have an easy time of it, So we kind of have to double think ourselves sometimes, but so far so good.
Yeah, so we got some things cleaned up and put away and in storage, so they're not on the table all the time. So making little progress.
It's filling up though, isn't it? Really, a lot of donations.
Yeah, so thanks to Alan and Gail for that effort. Anything new on the oral history project?
Yes.
Got us on that one.
Well, I know. So I finished end of July, early August, organizing the photos that Brian had put together for us, just to say, what have we got, where are we at? And then was looking at them in terms of the little box doohickey things, which I found are called QR codes. Remember we were trying to figure out the official name?
Box doohickey.
Yeah. We all knew what we were talking about, but we couldn't remember the names.
Not yet.
Yeah. I don't think the way we've organized the pictures will accommodate that from the original thought. And so looking at that, I would like to regroup if everyone's in sync with it and say, we want to do these 10 locations with the codes. We want someone talking at each of those, and then that voiceover to the pictures of a then and now. So you're looking at Grasso Park today, and you've got pictures of it then with someone talking about it, much like we do during the school field trips, for that type of condensed version of information. And go down that path is what I'm leaning towards, but I want to know where everyone else is at on that concept.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay.
Well, that sounds really appropriate.
Yeah. And then we can take advantage of the field trip time to do some of the recordings. And you've still got the files of
Yeah, I think it's
the spring walk. Yeah, we need to transfer those. But come up with a list of 10 priority locations and say, okay, we're going to do these 2 first. Let's do them, figure it out, learn, and then do the rest of them down the list, with the goal being to have 1 or 2 of them done shortly after the field trips.
And then make like a brochure that has the different spots. That
Yeah.
people can go to.
And what I'd like to do is at the end of each one, it says to go to the nearest next spot and kind of make it you could almost recreate the spring walk, but it would map them through it.
Any idea what it would cost or who you'd get to implement all that?
The first 2 I'm going to do myself on the phone. I'm going to use the iPad. And then we just need to figure out, my understanding is you can print the codes. So we would just print it and test it, and then it's a matter of how do we add it to the signage, and that's when we'll bring Brian into the fold. I think we have to have the content before we go there, right?
Right.
But to do the test run of what it would contain, I was just going to do on the iPad and the phone. And
What's the code called?
QR code.
Yeah.
QR. The little box doohickey thing.
And
I mean, Lindsay and I sat there for like 10 minutes trying to figure it out, and neither of us could come up with it.
But is there any kind of purchase the right to do those kinds of things?
No,
My understanding is it's like doing a barcode.
But you have to have an app to read it.
Can
Yeah,
that?
yes, you have to have an app or the right thing on, you have to have a smartphone to read it, exactly. Now, the backup thought is you can, again, you have to have a smartphone to do it, but you would have a link to the website on the QR, so if it's not working, you could bring up your phone. But it does have to be smartphone enabled to use it.
And somehow that little QR deal is unique.
It's like a barcode that you could, and again, I haven't tested it, I haven't tried it, I did a Google search, so, it's as reliable as the internet. But my understanding is you can kind of print them like you would print a barcode on a mailing label.
yes.
That it's fairly straightforward.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, so that's where I'm shifting gears to if everyone's in sync and,
How do you want to approach the determination of 10 and prioritize?
I'm gonna make a big list and ask everyone to chime in.
By email or something?
Yeah, yeah. So in the next, get an email out and just keep
I
it
think
moving.
that sounds great.
Yeah. But doing 2 or 3 by the end of September to say where are we at and add to it.
Yeah, do
Mhm.
kind of test run type
Right.
thing.
Right. So, and then again, like you said, how do you do it walking where it was there? You wouldn't get the benefit of a video, but to show that same map out.
Yeah, so part of the deal too, to come up with a route, I suppose, we start, well, I guess we start at one place,
Yeah.
go,
Mm-hmm.
until you go to the next place or something like
Yeah, yeah. And that may determine the prioritization, right? Do you do Grasso Park as a setting? Do you do Asti Park as a setting around the outside? And do you do the old mine camp as a setting? And then connect the dots. And you have some.
Send them from one to the next
Uh-huh.
group, one group to the next
Yeah.
group to the next.
Next group,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, so
Of course,
that's,
there's the old town hall stroke firehouse,
oh,
which we tend to forget about, but
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
hopefully we start,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
that. Good work, Jill.
So,
Yeah, fantastic.
yes. I-
Just one question, I see you got Dirt DVD here.
Yeah, when we were originally putting this together, the idea was, let's get down some of the stories.
Yeah.
And let's just set it to pictures. And what I wanted to do was get Derek, when we got to that point, to help. Right, that's not a skill I have. Right, it's like, here's your basic, here's the straw man, this is what I can do, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So has he been in touch with you?
No,
or-
we reached out last spring and didn't hear from him, but we weren't far enough along to push it either,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
But I don't know if a DVD really.
Yeah, we've got one, and again, I think you're gonna get better use if people show up and it's real time. Mhm.
That's a good idea.
I've got to implement now, so.
Does the town have
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Thank you, Jill.
Yeah, so.
That's
try-
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's been like some event videos that have been posted to one, but
Maureen, have anything?
No, I signed, she thought it was that, anyway, no, she
Yeah,
has nothing
really
to do
good.
yet.
I don't know how much it's promoted.
Everybody's favorite fire truck is number 5. So recap of potential car show. Brian, is there anything new in that potential car show?
A little bit. I reached out to Noah. I know it's the Rocky Mountain Auto Show. It's the weekend of November 25th. And Noah's the owner of Mile High Classics. He's reached out to the auto show. He hasn't heard back from him yet. I know they really want to try to get the truck to be a part of the show. One thing he did propose, and I was in the loop on the work, the interior of the cab work. Maybe he had that with some of you guys, but he did say the pinstriping, that gold leafing that used to be around the truck, their pinstriper. He's like, we can do that work, and the quote I got early on was $2,500 for that. He's like, I'd be willing to split the cost of that work. I think, looking at photos of what's entered in the auto show, I mean, it'd certainly be a nice detail to have on the truck, but that's maybe something to think about. Certainly, there's obviously no more funds left in that fire truck CIP line, but could be something to consider for remaining funds in with the 5,000. Just a thought. But I don't have much more than that.
$200, that's
Yeah, I got
Yeah, it's too, well, yeah. 200, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And did you ever, do we know for sure that legally or procedurally with the town's okay with doing that? Should that?
yeah, I don't foresee it being an issue, but I can't give a definitive answer probably
It
on that.
cost, it'd also be transportation cost.
Yeah, I know. Some of that stuff obviously hasn't really gone too far down the path, getting it back over there and additional, I know. So,
I know just in our casual conversation, I think hearty endorsement of the idea of having to do the pinstriping, but at one time it sounded like they're going to be trade-off, for the pinstriping.
yeah.
But it sounds like it'd be
Yeah.
some money.
That could be, yeah, I just don't know. I know he's reached out to this auto show and, he's waiting to hear back from him. So maybe there could be, some arrangement with them, so.
Okay.
One of the things on the pinstriping, if I may, something that we're going to cover down in new business, but on that meeting with the guy from Lafayette, he has a photo that shows the original pinstriping on it. So we can use that, I think, as sort of look and see if we want to try and go pretty much the way it was. It was in white, but he said, I think do it gold and just set that fire truck off.
Yeah, the Superior history, as far as we know, is all gold.
Okay,
So,
6.
yeah. Anything else on the fire truck until we get down to the item of the new business?
It's still stored over here at the original fire.
Yeah. Oh, at least it still is, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah.
We're gonna try that as much as possible. Hey, that means we use the storage, we use the Guardian for something.
Maureen just said,
Our
should we try,
event stuff.
should we try to put it in the Louisville Labor Day Parade?
We've, that's come up before, but we never have, unfortunately, we'd have to have a town employee drive it, so we'd have to volunteer or something. What day's Labor Day this year?
10th, I think.
10th?
No, it's like the 5th.
Yeah.
Can't be that late.
Yeah, the 1st is a Thursday.
Yeah.
2 Mondays from now.
Yeah.
Nice try, George.
Already, don't.
We have talked about putting it in the Louisville parade, the Labor Day parade.
Somebody has a vintage fire engine from the Louisville Fire Department.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen a couple of times. I don't know whether that will be within the parade or not.
Might be, huh?
It would be really cool to have the two together.
Was that the second one that was at our 4th of July? There was one that showed up on the 4th of July that was owned by a fireman.
But this one is different, because it's actually an old Louisville Fire Department.
Okay.
And
And
it's
that one
pretty.
you mentioned came from South Dakota or someplace like that. So would you say the 5th is Labor Day?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think it's an earlier vintage,
Um,
1930s.
You know, it's almost too soon to get it going for this year, she says, thinking off the top of her head, probably, maybe not. But maybe another year to have it, or else on the 4th of July with ours, as well as ours, get the walking cart out there and, because I'm sure the wheels still turn, and just sort of show progress of these things.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, it might be too soon for this year,
Yeah.
but maybe next year, 4th of July, to also start to incorporate that one. Because our parade certainly goes slow enough, probably, for someone to hustle that one along.
Gladys could drive that one.
That's not in the minutes, Karen.
She's in that picture. I think that sounds like
Yeah, I
kind
just-
of fun if we could get it out of there and everything. And maybe in the future, we should think about, let's say 2017, plan ahead on the Louisville Labor Day because, we have to get this pulled off in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is there a consensus on, first of all, yes or no on this year's, probably some kind of entrance process too, this year's Labor Day parade?
Probably too late, I would imagine, this year, you know.
Let's put it on our work plan for next year. I think we should get some exposure. I think it'd be kind of fun, especially. If we can arrange to have a driver.
Perhaps one of the things we should address though, and maybe a safety issue, and that is that exhaust system on that thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't, be out the right or anything like that, but I'm just wondering if that, coming right up underneath the cab, if that's really something that should be addressed before we start driving, because carbon monoxide can really get nasty.
Yes.
Keep the windows open, it's okay.
Not necessarily.
We are close to starting to do bookmarks or whatever you want to call them for next year's budget, I suppose. Maybe we should, we're going to want to continue with the restoration if possible, which would be the interior and the exhaust system, I think, is where we are right now in terms of priority.
Yeah, and I'll have to chat with Patrick. I'm not positive there's going to be substantial, if any, funds dedicated for the fire truck next year. So I don't know for sure. I'll look into that with
Well,
Patrick.
it came down to,
Yeah.
After all that was expended this year,
Mhm.
and maybe the idea would be to put in $1,000 or something to get the exhaust system fixed and get the interior the following year or something.
Yeah, you could probably go to Midas or someplace, maybe get an estimate on what.
Get a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, and that way at least you know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
whether you're even able to address that next year.
Might have to do custom or.
It'd be smart to get an inspection just to see if
Yeah.
there is a
Get an
safety
idea.
issue.
Absolutely get an idea what it might cost and put that in the budget. So,
Even Matt Rarick on staff, you guys know Matt, he's pretty good at that too. I mean, he can take a in-depth look at it too before we take it somewhere, but.
Well, yeah, if there's something he can do with it
Mhm.
that works for us, I don't see a problem.
Probably has some muffler shops in the area that's specialized in truck exhaust systems, I should say, for mufflers and tailpipes too. Okay, good. Talk about that, Brian, would like to get, I think we're in agreement, aren't we, that we're going to drive it in future parades, probably should get the exhaust system done.
Oh, yeah.
Over the interior.
Yeah, I think that's a number one safety priority.
And just a comment on the ladder, I was working on a project down at the Railroad Museum, there's this ladder hanging on the wall, and I said, hey, what's this thing for? Oh, I don't know, it's never been off the wall since I've been here, so they donated it. And so Matt tried to put it on the rack, and so the rack on the fire truck is, let's say, if this was the fire truck body, and then the rack base is like this, it's probably 2 ladder widths wide because of the extension ladder, when it was stretch out. This ladder is only a single one, and so the clamps don't attach it properly to the body. You didn't want to force it into the brackets and scratch the paint, so it may work and it may not work. The fella who's going to come up in new business said he thinks there might be somebody he knows who has an old ladder, might have been on that truck when it was in Lafayette. Maybe getting somehow, so. Okay, second grade field trips. So I've been in contact with the 3 teachers. And at this point, Katie Graff, as usual, is #1 jumping on that. So she was, it looks like her first choice will be September 22nd. And El Dorado's first choice is September 30th. And Kristen from Monarchs would let me know what's available. So I shot this information to Clint Folsom and Joe Sorelli, and Clint was good with that, with those dates.
I'm good with those dates too.
Okay, and I didn't include Chris Hansen, I should have, so.
Sure, yeah, he's really interested in that.
So, and I told all of them not to do the, what is it, the 16th, I think it is, that's our monthly meeting. And so, start planning accordingly, I guess. I'll get to Monarch after today.
And what was the date you were looking at for Monarch?
Monarch's gonna wait and see what's available.
Okay.
And so if we're all good with those other 2 dates, I'll give them the high sign, high ball on that, so. And Kelly Esposito is no longer in 2nd grade. Yeah, she went to 5th grade, so in this insider over here. And so Karen Jones, is that right?
Yeah, Karen Jones.
Karen
She was
Jones
head
is now our
teacher. She's
contact
awesome.
person for 2nd grade. Which is what?
She's awesome.
Good.
She's good.
So, at this point then, we can count on, looks like we have consensus here, we'll count on those 2 days. I'll tell Monarch, let's see, we'll go back to one opening in September, so instead of 2, so we won't have to worry about coordinating around that. So anybody got any leanings about what I should tell Monarch? Let's see how they react first of all. They now have to have 30 days notice on their getting the school buses to the transportation.
So September 22nd is what, the Eisenhower?
Superior.
Superior?
Yeah. Eldorado's 30th. Okay, then we'll continue. Oh, the coloring books, we were mentioning we had those new coloring books printed up. So what I did in the basement on that one rack was I put a little note on the box that said use them in this order. So there's some old ones, and then actually made the effort to put all the new boxes in numerical order. You know, box 1 of 8 and box 2 of 8. So I'm just going to take those in order so we can kind of keep close track on them. Good job keeping track. But that kind of helps. We know that everything's going to kind of go into sequence there. Okay, of course.
These will be, all 3 will be in the morning, correct?
That's been our game plan, Walt, yeah.
Okay.
They usually do it and then finish with lunch.
Yeah. Right up.
And then we can have an alcoholic beverage for lunch.
Not that you would,
I didn't say that.
not that you would need it.
Let's go buy Superior Liquor and get those little shot bottles like you do in the airlines. Pass them around. Yeah, right. Correspondence, Karen.
There were 2 cards mailed out last month, as mentioned in the, being required by the minutes.
And thank you. Appreciate all your wishes.
Cheryl thanks you as well.
Tell her she's welcome,
Okay.
but not to do it again.
That's right. Get up and move around, Cheryl. Now she's accused me of nagging her.
Oh,
That's okay, she got to get up and move around.
You need a poke stick or whatever.
Carl Wally's for field trip.
Get the building.
Yeah.
oh, gee.
You can tell her it's Wally's fault.
Work on that, so it looks a little more authentic.
Do we need thank you notes to anyone? Do you have any donations?
Do we need to do one to the Railroad Museum?
Pretty unofficial.
Okay.
I don't think they do excessive at the shelter.
Okay. Ask forgiveness, not permission.
That's right. I think, my buddy, we were working on the shed, so let's throw it on your trailer. It's like, they would throw it on the trailer and drop it off, otherwise it's a little awkward. Back porch safety issue.
So,
What we were thinking was that we want to put the gutters on the Grasso Park House, and it'd be nice if we could put the wrought iron railing on, at least on the east side of the back porch to prevent any misfortunes on that, the odd steps there, so. Think we could do that, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's that Boy Scout, Sam Packard, who, I don't know, did you get in touch with him? I know he was interested in helping with that project.
The
I know-
railing project?
What's that?
The railing?
The railing, yeah, the railing. Well, he's been kind of spotty with communication, but.
Yeah, I replied and have.
Nothing, yeah.
Or I addressed that address and didn't anything back.
Yeah, I think, yeah, so I think I was mentioning too in an email, like, I guess depending on where it goes exactly, whether it'd have to be like period specific, if it's attaching to, the actual museum or the,
I think it's going to really need to be attached to the deck and probably to the museum itself. So
Yeah.
it's almost big.
Or else you can't attach to the museum, you can put an angle.
yeah.
Yeah, it should be pretty routine, I think. Guess the question is whether or not in violation of our State of Colorado Historical Fund contribution.
Did it have a railing before? Ever? It just had a little front,
The board's
just the.
sticking out.
Pretty much.
I mean originally.
Yeah.
Is there
No,
a picture anywhere of a railing?
Back in my campation.
No,
Yeah, or in between.
no, there was no railings around then.
Or basements, that's a.
Pardon?
Or basement.
No.
Or target.
I would think if it's a safety issue, though, that they would be a little lenient.
So I can, yeah, just so I can visualize, because I'll look into this and I'll try to get something more concrete next month. So like, thinking like kind of wrought iron, black, like waist high maybe for that, something like that, just simple.
Yeah, I think it should
Yeah.
at least be high enough to where you can grasp it.
Yeah.
I think waist high would probably be about short.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds.
And do you
about
do
right.
it on the other side too? To make
I think
it look?
We'd like to.
So both sides.
I think that'd be.
It would balance it, but I
Yeah.
think top priority would be on at least one side.
I think it's okay, you'd like, well, sort of balance it and then be whether or not, the fundage.
So should we reach out to that Boy Scout one more time? Be nice if he needed a project.
Yes. There's also another Boy Scout that, approached me back in May and I haven't had contact with him.
I think if we're going to have a Boy Scout doing it, and I don't see any problem with that, we should probably have somebody there directing them exactly where we want it, how we want it tied in, so that
Right.
they can go ahead and do the project.
Based on what I know, I don't know if that's a big enough project to count as a Boy Scout project.
Yeah.
Unless they fundraised it and paid
Where
for
they're
it.
constructing probably.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sometimes that's what they have to do to make it
Yeah.
more comprehensive, don't they?
Jill brought up the point, and based on what I know too, sometimes part of the Scout project is coming up with the money to
Yeah.
finance the project.
Project.
It's a great
Take
idea.
care of our financial part.
Problem.
Yeah, and the lady that talked to me, she wasn't, it wasn't an Eagle Scout project, it was just, can our scouts do anything to help you? So, you just keep that in mind.
I don't know if I saved that address. When I put it
Okay.
on my historical commission folder.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably pursue that. Is he a monarch or?
I'm not sure. I was attached to the email that you sent to him. I mean, yeah, and
Okay.
he didn't reply back. So I'll,
I have the other lady's name right here. Lori Cook.
Oh, I know Lori. Her son? Jack?
Boy Scout Troop
Yeah.
278.
Lori's a good friend of mine. What's she trying to do? Why's she
Oh,
going
She
into
just,
that?
she came up to me 4th
Okay,
of July
yeah.
and said, do you have any projects that a Boy Scout can work on?
I turned down coffee with her to come here today. I'll call her. I literally, she invited me to coffee at 10 this morning, and I'm like, I can't, I
Anyway, she gave me
got
her
Yeah,
phone
I'll call
number and
Lori.
email
I'll
and-
just, yeah, I've got it. I'll call
I
Lori.
mean, she just wondered if we had
Yeah.
anything at all. It wasn't an Eagle
No,
Scout or anything
no,
like
but
that.
just the same, I'll call her and see what she has in mind and tell her some of the things we've talked about
Yeah,
and go from
okay.
there, yeah.
Is that the same troop that helped with the Grasso Park house several years ago?
These kids are, I want to say Jackson's 6th grade this year, so 6th, 7th, so they're pretty young still.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I think the help down there with Cub Scouts.
Yeah,
Right, okay, so maybe it's
it might,
the
yeah, depending.
same ones,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'll call Lori for you.
Okay.
I'll take that to
Meantime,
do.
Brian and I will see if we can track down the subject. Other Eagle Scout kid, I know the family name, but I don't have their contact information. And this is we're only talking about the railing, we're not talking about doing something to counteract the sinking of the porch. This is another issue.
Does that need to happen before you put a railing on there?
It may not be square.
Yeah. I don't think it's square right now.
It isn't square right now, you're quite correct. Yeah, you know what, the more to think about that, we talked once about,
Yeah.
talking to Matt about whether or not we could try to raise that with the tractor. The bucket on the tractor or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'll,
Lifting it up should not be that difficult.
Keeping it
Pretty
up.
easy.
yeah.
Yeah, champing, filling in the vacuum would be the challenge.
It's pretty easy to
Well,
do.
So if we're attaching a railing to the house and we have a sinking problem on the porch,
Take care of the sinking problem.
well, I'm no structural engineer, but do you want to, instead of attaching the railing to the house, put pylons, like fence posts, flush to the edge of the porch and put the railing up there, so if it sinks in the future, you don't have something tearing away at the house?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Maybe keep the porch up.
yeah, well, but do you do it as a fence post with railings where it's, where they're right flush, yeah?
That's why I said you don't attach it to the house.
Yeah.
Put a bracket.
Okay,
at an
yeah,
angle.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I get it now. Dots
Yeah, so
connected.
the practical thing to do would be to adjust the sinking first.
Yeah, I'll try to get with Matt and get his thoughts and try to bring you into it. Those guys are just really busy right now, but yeah, we'll try to address that obviously before putting the railing up, and
Okay,
so.
which segues into the capital improvement project status.
Yeah, so just kind of in short, did get an estimate on installing gutters on the Grasso house. That came in at $1,580. So whereas the museum was around $2,600. So obviously the house is a little bit, perimeter's less. It's going to be the the quote was for the 6-inch seamless half-round gutter. So I think what's on Town Hall right now would be a reference, to how big a 6-inch gutter is.
You said those are 6 inches?
Those are 6-inch, yeah. I mean, I know that's what he's recommending. It's the same guy that did those. A lot of that's to compensate for the fascia, the shingles, and then mounting the gutter. So, I don't know, maybe it's a good idea to, try to visualize that on the Grasso house next time you're over there, or if you have, I'm going to shoot him a couple questions.
Or it'd be like the ones on the bungalow there too.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing, those aren't 6-inch, those are a little bit, those are smaller because the roof's much different than, you know. So it's not, I wish it was as simple as just replicating that and putting those up on the house. So,
2,600 for the museum.
yeah, that was, I shared that a couple months ago, yeah, that was, yeah, that was actually about 2,800
To do both or just one?
just to do the museum.
So less than $5,000 to do both buildings.
Less than 5 to do both, yeah.
Which we have 5,000 allocated.
I'd go for it.
Maybe we should just do it to it.
Yeah, I don't, I think the quotes that I received, that's not gonna change, but I certainly have some more questions for him before I'm like, hey, go ahead and do it, you know.
Remember Brian talking about, I think Brian's terminology is cutting the roof. Another way to look at it might be trimming the shingles back.
Yeah.
The roof ends here, the shingles, wooden shingles come on over like this. So in order for it to drain properly, I wants to trim off the wood shingles, about what, an inch or two or so.
Yeah, I don't know as far as the house if that's necessary or not.
No,
That might not be,
that's
but
the
the museum, the existing cedar shingles currently overhang the roof edge 4 inches. We would need to cut these back approximately 2 inches so that the gutters function properly. So that's included as in the quote.
And that's part of the 2,800.
Yeah.
I guess
Didn't-
go ahead.
Didn't we talk about just, at one point, just having gutters on the one side? I mean, does it need to have gutters all the way around?
We did talk about just the side with the stairway to the basement.
Just something to think about. And same, and from a historical perspective, are there other old, I mean, should that be done? Is that,
Well, it wasn't,
Fine.
they didn't have them on the original.
Yeah.
So we're back to that issue. But the main issue is the difficulty for access to the basement
yeah,
when it's draining, coming off the roof.
the side?
Would, if we really need to get the railing up, which I think we do, would it be sensible to do the Grasso House gutters, which are a priority, the one side of the museum over the stairway, and then would there be money to work on, to have for the railing?
I think so. Could we do the railing out of that 5,000?
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's tough to say without, I mean, ideally, yeah, it'd be, yeah, I mean, I don't know the cost on that, yeah. I mean, yeah, it could come out of there, yeah.
I like that.
Get a bid on the railing and find out what it's going to cost to have one.
Do you have a vendor, Brian, that will do that work for you?
For the railing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really gone too far down that path, so I'm sure we could find one, I'm sure there's one that, you know.
Yeah, well, I just
But I-
want to
yeah,
say,
sure
we
there's
had a
somebody-
railing put over there in our house here this past summer, and had a fella from Denver, he did a real good job.
Oh, really?
And it was very reasonable, and did a good job. Okay. If it'd help, I could give you his
Okay.
card if you want.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think the consensus, sounds like the consensus is the priority be Grasso Park House, east side of the museum, if they can do just one side, if they're willing to do just one side.
And visually, everyone's okay, you're okay with that? Like, how that would look visually?
You
Just
have a
one?
choice.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
And nobody will notice.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the old style with the half round, I think
Yeah.
should blend.
Well, we can always address the other side at a later date if we feel.
But it'd be nice through this winter, right? Because winter's the concern with the one side.
I think you can get all three of these down to $5,000 probably.
Looks like it.
So, or we'll start the presses up in the basement and we can fix something.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, the town has a money machine, doesn't it?
Praise the
Right
Lord.
to the mark on that one.
Louder, louder.
I'll never pretend I didn't hear that.
He's
Okay.
giving me the information I need to be able to update my iPad.
Oh,
Very
I thought you
important.
were saying you retired.
I figured that out a long time ago.
Oh, I see.
You're retiring in November, huh?
That's not by choice.
Right.
Term
Yeah,
limit.
run out of town
Yeah.
on a rail.
I don't think so, too. Okay, Brian, thanks. Proceed with vigor on that, please. Display ideas for 2016-17.
Alan's working on a poster for the Miss Ormond display for September 3rd. Is that right? Opening?
Yeah.
First Saturday? So we're gonna kind of rearrange that middle room, the main room. I don't know what the official name of it is. And do a wall with talking about Miss Ormond. We're gonna bring up all the kind of children's and school-related displays, pieces. And then I would just love to try and get the word out somehow. So I had emailed with Melissa and Brian about a flyer. I thought it would be fun. And I know we only have 2 weeks, but if we start doing these exhibits every few months, we have to figure out how to have people know about it. So I was thinking it'd be fun to do a tent with like an ice cream social, or just have a tent. I don't know. So, and invite the teachers, invite people that knew Miss Ormond. So I think it'd be nice to have some type of flyer, but we haven't figured out what we're gonna say.
Can we leave that up through the field trips?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
good.
Yeah, it'll be up, I think, for 2 months.
Okay.
So we could get something into the Superior newsletter,
Yeah.
I think.
When does that go out?
Yeah, Melissa usually asks for the info coming up here. It'll go out like probably September 1st or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right at the end of the month, so
Yeah.
it comes out on the 1st.
Okay. And Melissa, she said she's doesn't have time to do a flyer. So it's not that hard to do a flyer. I can do it, but I just don't know if we really want to make it a little bit of an event, that we have balloons and a tent and tables and serve something, or do we not do any, I don't know. I would love input on, if we just do the email, I just don't think it's gonna be enough. We could do a press release. We could try and get it in what's the small newspaper?
Daily Camera.
Yeah,
Well, on camera, we get good results whenever it gets into the camera.
yeah. And I don't know how to, I'm not really a PR person, so I don't know
According to
how we
Brian
do that.
and his predecessors, they put stuff out and the camera picks it up. So
Yeah.
if they do, gets in. If they don't, it doesn't. So I don't know if there's another way we can do it more assertively than that.
I think if you send it as a release or something like that. But do you guys want to do some type of event, or do you, I don't really mean event, but I don't know,
If we do a tombstone tour, I don't know, does that happen after the museum is open, or could it happen, and that's an event too,
Mhm.
in October,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm not
Seems like-
sure where we stand on that at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, I think having the tent up and maybe having a direct mailing, maybe to original Superior residents, or make sure that the Kuffner family gets invited, since George Kuffner's been so adamant about wanting to do something for Miss Ormond.
Right.
Or Miss Ormond's memory hat. I think that all sounds good. When they kicked around the idea of have the tent outside, having ice cream. Ice cream and sticky fingers, though.
Yeah.
Ice cream social type of thing, and we have some museum collectibles or something.
The tent, or even the town's canopy, that will help call attention to something happening there, because it isn't usually there, so that's a visual attraction even for people who don't get flyers or something.
got the message board, they've got the Sentinel, and they've got the community bulletin board. I call it the CAC.
Yeah.
This is all ways to, that are real practical. That wouldn't be out of the ordinary necessarily. So maybe we should.
And we only have
directly
2 weeks,
to-
you know, we don't have very much time at all, so we need to figure out today what it would be. And with ice cream, you have to keep it cold. I guess you serve it, I mean, you might know more from events. You keep it in coolers, you serve, I don't know.
Yeah, George Leo has, those guys serve ice cream quite a bit. They don't,
Yeah, we did.
don't they have like some ice cream machine or something like that
Yeah.
they love, like
Yeah.
Bringing?
yeah. And, they would probably love
Call
to
Chick-fil-A.
do
Huh?
this.
Chick-fil-A.
Do
They're
what?
big on doing community,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think they have affordable ice cream.
They had something at Community Park for the National Night Out that they were serving. Weren't they doing ice cream? Or was that Freddy's? That was Freddy's, did the ice cream at Community Park. They were next to each other.
So who and how do we get in touch with George Leo? And then I'll make notes of
Chick-fil-A
that
or
too.
Freddy's,
I'll
yeah.
give you George's number right now. I mean, yeah, those guys, like his wife and son Jared, they're really excited. They love doing that. Like they would definitely do this. The direct mailing too. That's probably in this time frame will be tough to get out. I think.
And it's
but
expensive.
It's expensive, but.
I mean, if I printed off flyers and you guys have them
Flyers and-
here,
yeah.
and I sent the flyer to all of you by email.
Including notice in the security center.
Mhm.
You can
Yeah.
send it to the second grade teachers.
Yeah, I think.
You can't distribute through the schools without written notice and approval from each principal, so.
Right. I would let the teachers know what happens.
You can't announce it through the school without approving it through the principal. Hey, you just, yeah.
Well, maybe we could contact, and I'm going to have to contact the Hometown Weekly directly and have one of their reporters.
We don't get that over here.
No, I know, that's right. That's
Yeah. We call him George
And my daughter's, who lives in.
George. I mean, there's how many Georges in that family?
But
They get it
they,
for free every
How many
week.
Leos? No.
they just reprint everything from the camera, word for word, picture for picture. So if you can get it in
You've
the
seen him,
camera.
like kind of gruff, like
Yeah, that's
Eddie
why I
here,
also
he lives in the
unique
original
this
town.
hometown
He has the snow maintenance contract in town
Okay.
in the
Are there
winter.
any artifacts in
They have
the
like an ice cream
basement?
machine that
Okay,
they.
cool. That would be awesome.
Some of this all, the relationship with this all, that we could maybe bring out either in the museum room or else.
That's what they're talking about doing, David, is making this wall in the.
It's a whole exhibit about her.
Oh, because you mentioned about this poster or something, but nobody mentioned about any.
Oh,
Yeah,
actual
we're gonna do
artifacts.
her paintings, we're gonna do some history, some written history about her, so it's a whole wall about her. But then we're gonna incorporate, just bring up those kids' toys, just kind of have that room be a school theme.
Some of those former students to give some stories.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple,
or-
Yeah, there are a few.
there's a
There
couple
are.
paintings over there that
Well, I'm
she did.
thinking
Yep.
an
Yeah.
oral-
Those will be
oral
up
history
too.
going.
So if we do back to school, yeah, and a bunch, right? If we do a back to school ice cream social, or something like that, 10 to 2, September 3rd. Does that sound good? And we figure out the ice cream, whether,
Even if George didn't do it, I mean, wouldn't it be as simple as just
Going-
those four out, have a cooler, put
Even
some
if
ice
it's
in
just-
it, and just
yeah.
like
Dry
single
ice,
serve
dry
it.
ice.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen guys selling
Yeah.
ice cream
Yeah.
on the beach.
does that seem,
Yeah.
does
Cooler
that,
and dry ice.
does
It keeps
does
it
everyone,
cool.
is that something people want to do? Is that a good idea?
I think it's a great idea because the George will be all over it.
Okay,
All over it.
okay.
First thing you'll ask though is, what are you gonna name it? When are you gonna name something after her? And we haven't got to
Ice
that point
cream.
yet either, but, we talked about naming the
Yeah.
room that's kind of the education room in her honor. We've been kind of holding on in case
Don't get the school building.
Yeah.
School building.
Yeah.
What's her name again?
And tell him that. Yeah, so bring that building down here.
Oh, okay.
I've seen different spellings.
Okay.
Um,
Like I've seen it with an H too. I don't know.
I think notifying Bridget maybe and the Louisville Library, because they're our closest contact to the schools in a way for that area.
Okay, well, I'll try and work on a flyer on Monday, and I'll email it, and then if everyone can just do their best to get it out, that'd be awesome.
I
Get
think
it
you,
up in Starbucks.
Yeah, yeah, we could distribute it, or we could all maybe print it off and distribute 5 each or something.
I usually put up flyers at Panera and Whole Foods.
Yeah, Panera has a hometown bulletin.
Yeah, we have both those places have bulletin boards, and I imagine Starbucks probably does too.
Starbucks has a bulletin board, and I've asked them to put some stuff up, and it doesn't happen. So I think the way to do it is just put it up.
Nobody noticed.
That's fine.
And that's all really for the, just Alan is working hard on creating a nice poster for it, so we'll have to, I'm sure it'll be wonderful. And then the thought is we'll start working on November. We're gonna do a military theme, World War II, and the Bruno family, maybe around veterans, and we can do, I would love to do another, same thing, even if it's as simple as a tent and some balloons and getting the word out again.
You know, when we come to that one, we might even, should we consider a special open day on Veterans Day?
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
'Cause that's November 11th.
It's hard though.
Free admission.
We veterans who come running around looking for free meals. Pennies and.
So, are you gonna contact George Leo also?
Sure, unless someone knows him and I can call him, I don't know him at all. But I don't
You
mind
just tell
calling
him, you
him.
just tell him, yeah, Brian Meyer gave, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's,
Drop my name too.
or Larry, yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
Good deal. This is very exciting. And there's a lot of potential, I think, as we develop these themes and have special events. Correlated events at the openings. Good going, Katie.
So we're committed to this, right?
Looks like.
And I make my report at the next board meeting.
Yeah, and that exhibit will be there in September and October.
Actually, I can put something at the pools too. That'll be a
A
lot.
little flyer?
Family
Okay.
traffic.
Yeah.
See if we can get all the board members and their families down.
How do you spell the teacher's name?
I think it's OERMAN. Is that,
What's that?
I just spelled
so.
Miss Norman's name.
I was just saying, I thought I saw it with an H at some point.
No.
What grades did you get?
You guys throw me on the
You woke him up.
Obviously, his spelling wasn't his strong subject.
ORMAN.
O-R-M-A-n?
Yeah.
I think
it's in our book.
This is what Alan wrote up. She's pretty on top of things. OERMAN is what Alan wrote, but
I'll go with
I
that.
have seen lots of different spellings, so,
Oh, Alan's probably got it.
yeah.
She's making the display, so I hope.
Hopefully she'll get it right.
Whatever
Yeah,
she says.
she has the obituary and all that, so yeah, hopefully
Katie,
she'll. What'd you
a lot
say?
of the things, like, for example, those paintings that Bob
Yes.
has got their names signed on.
Okay, so
Put it on
so we just
herself.
need to
That-
check
what are
that.
the,
That should do it.
This is probably right.
I think so.
If Alan wrote
What's the
it.
time frame that she was teacher here?
I'm sorry?
What's the rough time frame of when she was teaching?
Oh, well, in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and in the 50s.
Into the 50s also.
Yeah.
So she's responsible for you guys.
Yeah, about almost 3 decades.
That's a little shaky.
Yeah, I think it's OERMAN.
Any honors then?
Does she have any family at all?
No, no, she was never married, but she did have some nephews and sister and one nephew got killed, and he was a pilot and got killed in World War II. Remember that?
I was doing some good research on her family history too.
And she lived in Boulder. She lived there on Broadway, right there just below University
Oh,
Avenue there on Broadway,
okay.
on the west side.
All the way out here, back in the olden days. So.
Yeah,
Rode her horse out here.
yeah. Yeah, well, they all came from, Miss James, she came in from Boulder too, you know.
That was a train, wasn't it?
And Miss Steele, she came in from out there by Pleasant View, is where she lived down there with the boy. Yeah. So, yeah, most of them commuted into Boulder or into Superior all the time.
Well, thanks for driving that, Katie, and Sue.
Yeah, well, Lindsay and Alan were a
And
team.
Lindsay and Alan. Number 11 on potential Boy Scout projects. Are there more to explore than what we talked about already? Or take that one I did on cleaning up the barn?
Well, I'm going to call Lori, and I've got the railing, just in case they've got a Eagle Scout coming up that we haven't heard from. The barn cleanup, possibly working a future special display.
Yeah.
See what they, yeah, sure, see where they go. And last year we did the work on the mine cars. I don't know if there's anything follow-up we need to do with those.
I think they're in pretty good shape
No, they're
right now.
pretty good.
Okay. But it might be a year or two out from now, just
Yeah.
let them do
Oh,
a
yeah.
routine maintenance.
Sure.
Is they shouldn't need another coat of mineral oil now.
Sure.
I don't think they need it right
No,
now.
no,
Okay.
no.
We
Okay.
put pretty heavy.
But
coat.
that's kind of, so long-term.
Maybe
Okay.
next year or something, yeah, sure.
I don't know if there are any others out there.
Can't think of anything else right now.
Okay.
Unless we get enough of them to lift up the back porch.
Stan can hold it.
That's right. Okay,
They
guys.
could help us up the stairs and get in until the railing's put
There
in.
you go. You could help little old people up and down the stairs.
Well, actually, if we have the cemetery tour, once again, we could
Actually,
have the
that
Boy
could, yeah.
Scouts direct from the
Yeah.
hospital
Yeah.
lot, like we did before.
Good point.
What's the best way to get to the cemetery now?
It's the up through here.
No,
The only way there is.
through here?
If, providing that's even open.
Oh, you mean the hospital?
No, you can't go through the hospital.
To the bike trail? Over the
Well,
bridge to the bike trail?
The bike path over the,
Yeah, but that's,
The bike path kind of goes beside it, but I don't know that there's a way to get in from the bike.
yeah, if we can get in here, this would be, because then you could drive up almost to it. Yes, you can from the bike path, but
Right.
that involves quite
we
a
have
bit of
not
walking.
tried that yet. We
Yeah,
need
we have
do
to
that.
confess
Yeah.
we haven't either.
Is there any other old business? We'll go to the new business.
What about you guys meeting with George?
Danny?
Danny? Sorry, George is in my head. George Leo is in my head.
We haven't at this time, and Danny really hasn't been around up there much.
He hasn't been in his chair.
Oh,
It hasn't happened. Katie, to answer your
but
question.
we'll work on it. I mean, we're trying.
Yeah.
Just the right time.
Tomorrow is August 20th, I think. So who's going to be available to be at the museum?
I can be there sort of by 11-ish for a couple of hours or something like that.
I'll try and be there. Somebody open it up.
You have to have somebody open the cards. I won't be there at the beginning. I might be able to come at the end, but I got thinking the DIA run tomorrow morning and taking all the fam down to the airport, so. So we're probably gonna need some people at the very beginning.
I'll be over there for a while anyway.
So Bob and Walla can be at the open. Ing, I mean,
As
to
long as
get it
Bob- as long
open.
as Bob runs the alarm.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Mary comes later, so
I think I can come sometime, whenever needed.
can you come open up for him?
I can open up. That brings up another subject, but we'll get to that.
I think you're actually proven that you can do that. Karen, so. Walt, are you available tomorrow for the opening at all?
Yeah, I believe so. I will be there.
What time?
2:30. That's at 2:30.
2:30? Oh, okay. It's happy hour?
Yeah.
I could probably come and close it up. Get it back right now. No, I mean, open it.
Oh, I can open it, yeah.
Good, okay.
Well, some can be, it's not a big deal.
Not according to the
One of
other
them
two.
just doesn't want to, but he knows how to.
I know Trenton.
Speak of the English.
I mean, I can set it off as easily as anybody else.
Oh,
Need first name.
oh, September 3rd, well, we talked about September 3rd. I guess law's available for September 3rd.
I'll be there.
Yeah,
I hope
I'll
so.
be there.
Yeah, and I hope, yeah, hopefully a lot of people can stop by.
And I'm noon to close that day.
It's Labor Day weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
I haven't been informed.
It looks like we won't have any trouble staffing there, so we'll probably want to get there early on the 3rd to set up our tent. We haven't done that in a little while, so I guess we did it last September. Nothing on the, I'm sorry, September 15th, I hope I'll get to the round table again, and if anybody else wants to go along, you're sure welcome to. We'll be meeting as usual, and we're going to start trying to do a bit more along the lines of keeping track of what's talked about, putting it out to people who aren't able to attend. Mr. Woligorsky, so we met with Norm Kellett, who was...
Howard?
No, Kellett.
James.
Kellett or Kellett?
It's Kelly.
It is Kellett. Wally, want to talk about that?
Well, I split some of the time with him.
Yeah.
We learned an awful lot about the fire truck. Norm is the fire marshal out of Lafayette. He was extremely excited to come down and look at it. And he thought the paint job was a fabulous job. He has all kinds of stuff he wants to do with us. He also brought pictures down, we're going to get a copy of it. It shows the fire truck at Lafayette's firehouse, was that back in the 60s? 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
With their 1928 fire truck. And he would like for us to sometime bring it over to to Lafayette so that they could take another picture of the president. At the time we take it over there, I think he expressed an interest in, because I had talked about hooking it up to a fire hydrant, that they would possibly do that. And I said I didn't know if the gaskets and stuff would leak in it. He said there are not. Rubber gaskets are all leather. He said it's a possibility that the gaskets are still good in it. It may not leak, but there's no guarantees. And if it does, they could tighten things up and maybe prevent it from leaking. So they're interested in doing that. He was talking about, with Larry addressed that, they may have, and I'm guessing that's the Lafayette Fire Department, have one of the original ladders that came with that truck. If they do, I think we'll end up with it. In fact, if we take it over that day to have them run the water through it, we might get a ladder. We will get a real fire axe. He said they have one, and he sort of chuckled at the one that's on it. But they will give us an actual fire axe. The thing that's mounted behind the cab on the driver's side, that silver thing that's in there, that's a bracket for a Spalding wrench, which is what they use to tighten fire hoses up. I think we'll end up with one of those. The bracket that sits on the deck right by the controls to run hoses and stuff, he thinks they have a nozzle that a hose nozzle that they will maybe give us to fit in that. I think there was a place on the deck on the back on the other side. There was another nozzle fit there. He sort of hinted they may, but they may not.
Apparently there's kind of a little bracket set on there, huh? And then the nozzle set on the bracket.
Yeah. One of the things that...
The bracket's gone right now.
Yes. One of the things he covered in there, and I had asked him about this, the title that we have for that truck does not belong to the truck we have. Because I couldn't figure out, the title says it's a 42. He said it is not a 42, it is a 45. They got it brand new from Howe. Because I asked him, I said, was that a surplus? And he said it was not. They got it brand new. The truck that they had, which is a 42, which is a tanker, came from the, what did he say, the Pueblo Army Depot? Yeah. That's what that title is for.
And they had that at Lafayette for a while. It was a 2.5
Yes.
ton water fire truck, military fire truck.
I don't know, I forgot what else I was going to say.
Where's the original title?
Oh, they have, because I asked him if they had any records to substantiate, that shows us where that came from. They do not have any records. What was it, in 1955? The fire chief that they had at that time for Lafayette was removed from office, apparently not voluntarily. So in his infinite wisdom, he went in and took all the records from that date, clear up to when the fire department was originally started in the 1800s, they're all gone. There's absolutely nothing. So they can't, I mean, we have, they're telling us, yes, that's when it was, but, we don't have any proof. We can't go to the motor vehicle department and get anything because I'd been over and talked to them just before we took it to, over to Mountain Truck. They have purged all of their records.
Dear.
From 1995, I believe it was, I said, clear back. And I think they were working from then, they were going to start coming up to 2000. So she told me if you do not have anything for that now, it's not available. Can't get it. There's a possibility, isn't there a tag on the firewall of that truck? I suppose we could go in there and see if we could get some numbers off of that, possibly go to General Motors, and then try and backtrack from General Motors, if they have anything, back to Hewitt, or Howe, I mean.
Otherwise, it'd be good just to get it in writing,
Yeah.
store it somewhere.
Could you explain why the original delivery of the fire engine was green?
He didn't have a good answer for
He didn't, but Bob over at Mountain Truck was telling me, because he's pretty much into that stuff, that Chevy, when they made those, only had, what was it, 2 colors, green? What was the other one, black? I can't remember now what he said. And that's pretty much the colors that they only had a couple of colors. And that's what they originally came out with. So that's probably where the green is. But apparently that was painted, that was totally painted red and striped in the whole 9 yards when Lafayette took possession of it on, was it VE Day, which was May of 1945.
The only thing I can think of is possibly when it was made up for the military and went to Howe, and by that time the war was supposed to be over, they went ahead and painted everything red. Because you're right, David, the firewall and everything is all military.
Yeah.
Military green.
Yes, I did a bit of research on the internet a while ago about this type of fire engine, and apparently when the Allies invaded Europe, they had expected a lot of retaliatory blitz raids from the Germans. They were actually terrorized, so they ordered a lot of firefighting equipment from manufacturers over here. I don't think it was actually shipped to Europe, but it was ready to go.
Well, he was very adamant that this was not a military vehicle.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying, that the equipment was never shipped over to Europe, but it was kept here in stockpile. But after the end of the war in Europe, the military decided to sell off this equipment to local authorities right the way across the United States. Some of them were sold for as little as $5 to local authorities because they wanted to remove the stockpile.
Do you talk about, they paid a real low price for it, or is this a nominal?
That's just
$1 or something?
$5 just to
Seems like it was.
change ownership.
Yeah.
So there was this huge stockpile of equipment, relatively large stockpile. And Class 2, Class B equipment that had the Ford or Chevrolet chassis and Howe or American LaFrance bodies. And they were just held. If they were needed, they could be shipped across to Europe very quickly. The Germans had the resources to maybe bomb Paris or bomb other major towns and cities in France, but it never actually.
I suspect it was something like that, where it was right there on the cusp of the end of the war, so it missed its military service.
So the equipment was actually never needed, because I guess the Germans had so much involved in the Eastern Front, they just didn't have the resources to retaliate on Paris, Lille, Reims, and
So I guess we'll have to try it sometime, and I don't know when we want to do this, is figure out when we might want to try and get over with them. And, he can do his photo shoot and check that pump out on that.
The city of Lafayette has another old fire truck that they've restored. I think it's a 42 GMC or something like that.
Yeah.
And they have a photograph of our truck, so to speak, and that one I just mentioned in front of the firehouse. And so apparently that structure's still visible, and we have to put both of those trucks in there to take a picture.
Well, I thought he was saying that the one that was there was, isn't that their old one, the 28? Because that doesn't have cam on it. That's all open.
Yeah. But is that other one, I think, is one that, in that photograph next to it.
Yeah, you're right, it is.
I think. Yeah, they've got
But
their,
you might want to do all three.
maybe so. They've got that 26 or 28, whatever it is, model, and then that 42 model.
the Gold Hill has they have a very similar size fire engine, but it's actually a Ford with an American LaFrance body. I guess it's been outside for about 30 years, so it's pretty rough.
Gold Hill, you say?
Gold Hill, yes, we saw it.
They better get going, huh? Fix that.
Another point that he made was somewhat interesting, because I said something about we don't have plates on ours, so I don't know how we would get it over there. And he said, you don't need to have license plates on those, because they don't have any on their 28, and then probably the other one, they drive those all over the place. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to do something in order to be allowed to do it, but he said they don't have plates on theirs. And I think with us, with our turn signals fixed and our brake lights and all that, we probably could somehow, I don't know who you talk to, Sheriff's Department, Motor Vehicle Department, whoever. I don't know if you have to have a little tag that says you can do that. I'm sure there's something that governs that. But he said they do not have plates on theirs.
So if we do a meeting of the old trucks over at Lafayette, we'll have to either drive it over there, which is they have a town employee, or George Leland truck it over there or something. So we can do that, have to get it some expense too. So, or if we free up a town person during the week, which
Probably Matt.
would be too
Yeah.
easy.
But I think if you have a town person do it, you're probably going to have to realize that we could be over there for, depending on what all
permission.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I think maybe looking at this fall, and I'm sure Matt would probably love spending a half day over there. I mean,
Yeah, we'd have to work that out with Norm to see what fits in there. He was really enthusiastic about trying that pump out. Oh, and the hoses that we have on there, they're pretty old hoses. And he looked at those, he said, those are in really good shape. But they are not high pressure hoses. They are only from intake. And which I guess, like the tanker pulls up and they had the big, you would drop them in there, but as far as going from the truck, coming off the fire hydrant out, no, they're not made for that.
And well, I was talking about this big, but it's not the one on the roll.
Oh,
Reel.
yes.
I don't know about the one on the reel.
That's missing a part down in the, he was looking at down underneath the back of the cab. So that's not even usable, but there's a shut-off from that. And I think they would be willing to show us how to run that pump in
So we got quite a meeting with him.
Oh, yeah.
We were there at least an hour.
He was very enthused. He had an envelope full of photographs.
Well, one of the things on
Copy, too.
the photograph that he has, and this is not a big deal as far as I'm concerned, it shows the fire truck and with, on the center of the front and back wheels where the bolts go, when Lafayette had it, that was silver. I mean, that was just the way they received it. I'm not saying we run out and change it, I'm just saying, I think it looks better the way it is, but there's, that black and white photo's got quite a bit of detail.
Yeah, it does. Well, thanks for being able to recall so much, Wally. I forgot about that. Well, here's a big question then about the cemetery tour in October. So a couple of years ago, we decided not to have it in October because we got into the weather issues. That we might do it in August or something. And so, personally, I hadn't been thinking about having another cemetery tour because of that, since it's now August. And we have our field trips in September, and then we have the potential problems with weather in October. So
What about early
before the
October?
table is open for discussion.
What about early October? Weather's bound to be better, the chances being better,
I
and
think you're just taking a chance.
I think you pick a day that works for everybody, because look at the weather last May
Pick
for
a
the
day
spring
that
walk,
it
right? I mean,
snows,
Yes.
that's it.
you plan B it,
Yeah.
right?
I guess the first thing is to consider whether we even have really good access to get up in there off of this side.
I think, Brian, you told us, didn't you, that so it's now open, access is open through here, through off of the Caslin up to it.
well, yeah, I mean, I haven't been back there in a while. I mean, obviously you can access the new facility, and I've been on the back side, but I haven't actually looked in detail. You know, obviously I see the cemetery there, but trying to visualize access from there.
Wasn't that open on Memorial Day and people could get up in there if they wanted to the cemetery? I thought they could drive up in there. I can't remember what Patrick was saying when we were discussing it.
That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. I want to say yes. I do recall that.
Of course, with all the digging going on, that could have changed
Yeah.
between now and then. I suppose the only thing to do would be a couple of us go over there and try and get up through and see.
Yeah, did anybody try to go up there and sit in our minutes where someone's going to try to get there?
Yeah, we were going to, but
I didn't.
I don't think anybody did. I think we need to see. That might answer the question right away.
Our October opening will be October 1st.
And we don't do that pretty quick. October 1st, to be honest, it's going to be late.
Yeah.
So if we did the early in October, that'd be probably the 8th or something. I would not be available on the 8th. That difference.
I don't have any idea where we're going to be.
it'd be okay for the 8th.
Well, yeah, that's top priority if that's where we're at.
Yeah.
I guess first question is yes or no. And questions. If yes, when?
Maybe we ought to postpone the decision till the September meeting, because we can put out the information sort of like we're doing for the September 3rd opening now, but really check it out, the accessibility, but sort of semi-plan on it for early October, but not publicize anything till we, see if we can get there.
I
We
guess,
have time to publicize it after our September.
I'm
meeting.
looking at the calendar, and if we're doing an opening the 3rd with an event, we're doing a meeting the 16th, we're doing a field trip the 22nd, a field trip the 30th, and a third field trip in there, and an opening the 1st, I think we're asking for it. That said, I've got an opening the 1st. Halloween is on a Monday this year. Do you just isolate the tour, and it's a smaller hour and a half, 2-hour window versus trying to do it on top of a 4-hour museum opening and create a big day with all these other things?
That's a lot.
That's
Yeah,
a lot.
it is.
Yeah.
We could keep it separate.
Yeah, you keep, and it puts it Halloween weekend, which I know we're here from a historic perspective, but cemeteries are cool to the Halloween minded, and it gives us, you're the promotions guru in my head, because you come up with all these ideas, but it keeps it in a theming when people are thinking about it.
that's why we started having it.
Yeah, in October,
in
and
the first place.
if weather's gonna be weather, it's gonna be weather, and like, we saw it in May for the spring walk, but I'm looking at that September window, and
It's pretty hard.
it's
A lot of activity.
a lot of
Too
activity.
much.
Yeah, and I know you've got potential trips, I know I've got a 10-day trip, and I'm sure everyone else has ins and outs, so. Yeah, I think September is biting off way too much. Just, just
You mean
looking at it.
Early October.
Yeah, or even the 1st of October,
Yeah,
and
with all
it
the
makes it
activity in
a
September.
6 or 8 hour
Yeah.
commitment on the 1st. And it also dilutes from the back to school at the museum. So, I'm inclined to say, how do you grab the 29th of
I would
October?
say later too.
Yeah,
29th is on what day?
that's a Saturday,
Saturday.
yeah.
October.
29th is a Saturday, which puts
Or
you into-
22nd.
Or 22nd, yeah. But it gets you into that Halloween timing.
Yeah. And if the
Which-
weather doesn't cooperate,
Right.
well,
Then it
then we'll just
doesn't.
have to
Then-
roll with it.
Yeah, we just roll with it, yeah.
And it'll give Bob time to work on his zombie costume.
Oh, I got my witches in
So, that just,
Karen can furnish the cat to ride on your broomstick.
we're gonna get all our cats to come visit you at once, Wally.
By the way, I found your old witches thing in the basement. Look.
Old witches thing.
Jeez, I thought I got rid of her a long time ago.
And a hat.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and as long as I'm being end-to-end here, Veterans Day is
Yeah.
the 7th.
Yeah.
So the 22nd looks better, because then it allows for a little pomp and circumstance. We're open the 5th, which is Veterans Day weekend, which is a nice bridge to the work that Gail and Katie and Alan and Lindsay
Actually,
are doing.
Veterans Day is the 11th.
Is the 11th? Oh, it's a Friday?
It's,
Okay.
it's not
It's
a
always
floating,
the 11th.
It's a fix, not
It's on-
okay, it's not the Monday.
11th all the time.
Well, I knew, yeah, I thought it was the 11th, but they celebrated it there.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
that was
always-
Armistice
Am I
Day.
in the right year?
It's the 11th is a Friday, yeah. So we'd be open the 5th, which would still be good timing with that, so. If you look at it that way, the 22nd becomes your better day.
Well, so first step is going up there.
Yeah.
Someone
And
going
if we
up
have
there.
access, target the
Yeah,
22nd.
I think the access is the first question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're leaving it at,
October 22nd?
yes. So we're leaving it at this point, it's tentatively set for October 22nd, depending on accessibility, results of the study of accessibility to the cemetery. And clarification of whether or not you can come in from just the hospital parking lot or not.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes and whether it's.
Jeff goes right next to it.
Joseph,
Goes right next to it, but again, it's a haul from the hospital, and
There's no distinct path that I know of from the hospital up to the
No,
pathway.
no, you
There
have to-
used to be, but now, if I tried this a couple of weeks ago, you walk up the bicycle path,
Yeah.
they got a big fence between the cemetery and the walk, that
Yeah.
bicycle path.
Yeah, see, that's, but when we did the community ride to Boulder on the bike path, we parked at the hospital, got on the bike path there.
Yeah. You can get on the path there, but you can't get off at the cemetery.
Yeah, that's the problem, you gotta get in from the path,
Oh,
right there, but getting from the path to the cemetery is.
yeah, okay.
so we want to go.
Unless you're in the climbing fences,
Yeah.
Bob.
Pardon?
Unless you're in the climbing fences like you did when you were a kid.
That doesn't work well anymore.
No.
Especially when you're stealing water.
Yeah. You know about that, right?
Just a little.
Okay.
Get shot at too.
We'll give it a shot.
Is there parking, much parking by the?
Right now, ooh, yeah, it's, yeah,
Has to
on
be
that,
parking for the facility.
yeah, there is substantial parking on that back, I guess that'd be the southeastern corner there. There is substantial parking there.
So is it possible to park in the ice rink parking lot and walk up to this?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting to a little bit ago. I'm not positive. I didn't really pay attention too much.
Disabled a little bit, that's gonna be tough to get the water.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to get over there, huh?
Yeah,
Pretty
I
great.
think so.
It's a pretty good grade. You get from the parking lot up to the cemetery.
Yeah, it's a little,
I'm only going from memory, but.
Yeah.
I would guess it would be bad. Okay.
make old people beat the gas for crap.
We'll have the Boy Scouts there to do CPR.
Yeah.
There would be nobody at this table.
That'll be good. Museum security is our next topic. Nicely worded, I thought, Karen.
Okay,
You want to take
do
that?
you want me to tell my story?
Sure.
Okay. Larry sent out an email saying that possibly there were kids that were messing around smoking down at the bottom of the steps going into the museum. Okay, so Wally and I are coming back from Boulder, and we're going past the museum, and I yelled at him, "Whoa!" because there's a whole bunch of bicycles at the top of the stairs leading down into the museum. So I get out of the car and I go peek around the corner, and there's a whole bunch of kids down at the bottom smoking. So I called 911, and we got the
Narked on him, huh?
I told him it was not an emergency, but that we had been alerted to the fact that kids were down there smoking and stuff. Anyway, so they sent the sheriff over that Larry had talked to, I guess. Or,
Brian or
oh,
Patrick?
Brian, you talked to him.
Oh, no, I didn't talk to him. I think it's Patrick. Yeah.
Anyway, he came over, he thanked us for calling him and said if you see it again, please call. They had a lookout, so by the time the sheriff got there,
Boy.
the kids were gone.
They're smoking seriously,
They did.
What time was this?
Okay, so that's that story, but,
This was roughly about noon, somewhere in there.
Huh.
yeah.
Early afternoon.
They'll be in school
But
soon.
connected with this,
Yesterday. Not that we're
somebody,
counting.
Go ahead.
somebody asked the question, is the museum even connected to the alarm in the basement? I mean, can we open the door to the museum without the alarm going off if we haven't shut it off downstairs? And I'm thinking that there's something alarmed in the museum, but do we know that for sure?
I want to say, yeah, there is a sensor on that front door.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why have we been bothering
Well,
to
yeah.
shut it off in the basement
Yeah.
if we're just going
I'm
into
like,
the
yeah.
museum?
Yeah.
But that was something to check, I think. I think it's alarmed, but
That's what you call them.
nobody was really
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, next time you're over there, just kind of look there. I mean, you can
I
see
think
it.
it's just a sensor.
Well,
at the door.
yeah, it should be.
There's no motion detectors or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, so
Anyway, we're thinking all this business with the kids smoking is gonna end when school starts.
Yeah.
May have ended already.
But there's the weekend, Saturdays. and
If
Sundays.
not, we could make a fake sign that says
I was gonna say, a
camera.
nice little video surveillance. I-
That's the cheapest
it-
way.
It's the cheapest way. And oh, by the way,
May
the
not be
video, motion
truthful.
sensor video cameras run about $50.
Comcast will give you one for free if you sign up for it.
Yeah.
So
do that.
they're seriously, they're like jump drives, right? They're becoming a dime a dozen, and it's real easy to hang one up. It served the Brazilians very well this last year.
Yeah.
Hey, we could do
For
that
Mr.
by our
Lucky.
garbage can.
But, you know, the chances are there's nothing will happen. The kids are strictly there,
They're out of sight.
out of sight to smoke. I understand
They're
that.
up at the fan house.
But then sooner or later,
Right,
after
right,
they've
yeah.
been doing it enough times, you get to fiddling around, and does the window get broke or whatever, you know, so.
They'll say I left trash there and stuff.
Yeah.
too.
Well, yeah, somebody's got big trash,
Yeah,
cigarette
that-
butts,
Yeah,
et
that's-
You
cetera.
got some cigarette butts.
That's what happened on the last,
When we were there.
when would you go there on Tuesday? I went on
Yeah.
Monday, I think, and I found 2 or 3 bags and tin butts and the wrappers for the cigarettes.
I'm with Katie with a big sign on the door that
That's a great
says,
idea.
video surveillance.
And I swept all the cigarette butt, I had swept up the trash a couple days ago, so.
Did you?
I just
Well, that
kept
means
it.
they've been back then.
Yeah,
Well,
Alan
I
swept
mean-
it up the other
Yeah,
day.
'cause Alan
When
swept
did
it up
Alan do
that
it?
day, yeah.
Last week?
Tuesdays?
Yeah.
Two Tuesdays?
Yeah, 2.
Oh, I've done it since then, yeah.
Yeah, so they've been back.
Okay,
Yeah.
electric fence.
Keep an eye on it.
Shows, once again, what teenagers do because they just cleaned up their stuff, no one knew they were even there.
Right.
Yeah,
Don't
but-
think.
See somebody down the
It's
street
electric
the
fence.
other day, didn't we? So you said that's. the
So if we
lookout?
see it and need to call the sheriff, we want to do it from afar so they don't know we spotted them.
Well, we did it from afar, but they had already seen us. They may have seen me peek around the corner.
Ah.
The other deal is that I think you had Patrick go talk to Sergeant Chamberlain.
No, Patrick did, yeah. Obviously, it's just a loitering issue, you know.
Yeah.
So I know, but yeah, Boulder County Sheriff, I know they're aware of those guys that patrol,
Well,
so.
motion sensor lights. Seriously,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
show up, lights up, at least you know they're there.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, we've got I guess it's just a porch light. One of those solar powered
Lights down the stairwell.
motion detector lights, yeah. You're right there aware of it. Hopefully a lesson with the opening of school, in which I saw the kids standing for the fest this morning, so.
I saw a car pulled over getting a ticket for speeding through the,
All right.
first day.
Start paying attention to that.
Nailed them already, huh?
Yep.
So we'll keep an eye on that and
Get through those areas.
look for the bicycles, I guess.
Put a pin in there with whole stickers across it.
And nobody ever
I fall in that button, no buttons.
One of those bird
Thinking
fences
like
like
work
it's on the
related
roof.
stuff leaving south.
I thought they had
Oh
some
crap,
signs
you
like
know?
Oh, yeah.
You forget that you're,
Buy it
that
online, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you're in the 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a sign. It's cheap and it may, well,
It's a $50 camera. You
you
don't
can
even
sit
have to
over there in your
activate
rocking
it.
chair and your shotgun.
Literally.
Put some salt pellets in your.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're to other new business, any other new business?
Not really, well, yeah, I guess it's new business. We got the invitation and the note for the preservation for a Changing Colorado. Again, it's that first weekend of February. And if we had any endangered places we want to be put on the list, the deadline for that is the end of this month. But I don't think we do in Superior.
Can't think of anything right off there.
So,
If
But-
the more recent people to our group here, this is a Colorado Preservation CPI, I think, something like that. And they have a very good conference in February. We've attended occasionally in the past.
We might
But
want to
it's
think
supposed-
about it again. We do have more money in the budget than we did when it was just
That's true, yeah.
$1,000 a year.
Always comes up when we're open in February, but not
But,
everybody.
but there's Wednesday afternoon, and then there's all-day Thursday and all-day Friday events and, sessions and things. So,
They have very good things there, very good. We went one year. It's expensive, but very good.
But it would come out of our budget, so we still have some of those. Probably will.
I have one other thing.
Okay.
I just made some, if you guys want to look at them, some sample note cards. I think, Larry, you and I, a few months ago, I just had the idea of, that we could sell these. And we do this at my work. But I got some images from from Brian, and made some note cards. And it's just an idea of something we could sell at the museum. The cost is like, for normal people, $2. But we could probably do them like maybe $1.50 or $1.75, and then we sell them for $4. But you could do, for one. And on the back is blank, but we would do the town logo, information about what it is, it wouldn't be blank, but the insides are blank. So it's just an idea. We could do a little box set of 5 or 15 or something. It's just a way to, people want to buy stuff. So it'd be nice to give people the opportunity to buy things. We could sell them here, and it's not huge amounts of money. Not a huge investment and not a huge amount of money, but it would be a way to add some money to the accounts.
Well, it'd be a way to appeal to people's historic sense there too.
Yeah.
Buy one of those and take it home.
This one here is the one that would be really in the general store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because it says Superior.
We still have any of
So.
those note cards left that we had once. So-
Yeah, and that's how I got the idea.
Because I packaged them up and just to,
Yeah.
Now, these are nice.
Need to find out a way to display this stuff, because we have the book, the DVD, we have all those note cards now that we don't
Yeah.
bring out of the basement, and I think we could probably sell those.
We can have a
We
gift
orient
shop.
ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
Gift
Just a
shop.
A
little,
gift section.
rack or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys can think about that.
speaking of that, Katie, we had someone ask about the maps you've done,
Yeah.
and we didn't have any business cards to
Oh.
give them, so,
Okay.
to put them downstairs so we could go grab them or something.
Sure.
A handful, because someone wanted to get a map done for their wall.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so,
Wow.
and we gave them your name and your information, but we didn't have a
Okay.
card to give them.
Yeah.
Someday, we kicked around the idea too of making a calendar with photographs on it.
Yeah.
Some of that too, so we obviously need to start that
Yeah.
That'd be kind of
earlier in the year.
But I would think most museums have a little section that they're selling. I mean, I know we're selling the book but we do need to define it a little bit more
I think so.
and put a few other things out probably.
Those are neat.
I think we'd give you, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to pursue that, go ahead.
Do a few. Well, maybe I'll email you guys to decide what I just chose 2 images. We could do
Yeah, those two.
more or
I agree with
The
you.
only
The
thing-
Mercantile definitely.
yeah. It'd be neat if there was something else that said Superior.
We have to make sure that there are ones we can do legally,
Clear,
too, because.
Yeah.
That what?
That we can do them legally, because some of those came from Carnegie and some came from the Louisville Museum, and.
I think it's okay, but I could,
Carnegie's pretty strict about that, don't use them once and so forth, I've used it quite a few times.
yeah, I can look into that a little bit.
Not for commercial purposes.
Yeah.
Great, that's great.
There's just one thing I'd like to mention about, we were talking about the Cherokee Trail earlier. But Maureen told me that one of the Higgs relations ran the stage line between Denver and Cheyenne, I think before the days of the Denver Pacific Railroad.
What was the name?
One of the Higgs,
Oh.
one of the Higgs relations,
Uh-huh.
Maureen said. They ran stage line from Denver up to Cheyenne or somewhere in Wyoming.
Uh-huh.
So I'd like to find out more information about that.
That'd be interesting to know. I know that they bought some of the Autry land was bought from the railroad, I think, changed the right of way, so.
Yes, the Millers family.
Who has
One
some
of
connections
my
there, huh?
great-grandmother's sister married a Miller. They were related to that.
Any other new business?
Oh, we know that,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Denver to Cheyenne.
Lunchtime.
I'll second it.
Is anybody opposed? Speak up, otherwise.
Guys are both a no.
Otherwise, we'll see you next
I contacted them,
tomorrow.
but yeah, by the time I.
Yeah,
Some of us will see each other.
I'll make Janet that day, yes, I birthday.
I'll try, yeah.
You know, and if you need rides on any of these things, one of us will come get you. We'll get a shuttle service going.
Yeah, it was a good, just
Like
like
driving.
everything, but.
That's okay, but if you have a day where sometimes the driving is just too much.
Thanks, everybody.
So, it's not that you can't, it's that it may be too much, so.
Don't push yourself.
Don't overdo, or we're gonna have words. We're gonna have words.
Yeah, Joel, man.
And Jill will give you the spanking.
These brochures are for you all to, to take as you want.
Did you get your equipment together now, man?
I am, yeah. Take these out. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Puck one, puck two.
Plug one, plug two.
Oh, it stays right there.
Yeah, yep.
Because they use the chairlifts too. For the outline slide, for example, they use the chairlifts for the outline slide, so. I don't know when it's up.
Yeah. Our kids are in school.
Yeah, I know what you said, well, I do, because I have it.
You can go there. You can come here.
It's an adventure, but yeah.
When the spring river get that straightened out to where when the train pulls in there and sits at the
station where they sort of dump all their
Right,
homes?
yeah, you can see what's
They
going on
used
with
to.
the
They used to. Well, they used to.
I gotta tell you one thing.
That was in the paper at one
With
time.
this place,
You could be walking down Long Street.
No, I think, no, now it's all, like airplane, it's all self-contained stuff. See everybody?
But it gets messages, we send it down to some collection. And then there's a nurse there in his office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if there's a lot more information, people go online.
Yeah, that's what this thing does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay, yeah, that's.
So how are you doing? You get your training and stuff then?
Well, taking a
How
while.
are you?
You know, because I sit around.
Oh, we had a conference
They
call
do
yesterday.
everything, you know.
I keep thinking about
you.
How did you know you needed one?
Well, it's going back, way back to the school. Had my
settled again.
cardiologist. He gave me a stress test and then he gave me one.
A lot of this flooding took place.
And found out then, well, your heart is slow and sometimes before the water comes from the ocean. And so he talked to him.
Well, yeah, and from northern.
I wasn't feeling bad.
Yeah.
But then the last time, well, we cleaned that. Having a patient, they gave me some more.
Oh, yeah.
We may
Stuff
have
like
to go
that.
down for a week.
So the last time I went in, like, this thing not going to stay here, but you got two options, nothing. And
Now, we're ready to
by
go.
not doing anything, you might get the guy yourself.
Okay, that's all right.
So some other people,
First of all,
like driving or something, might have that. Yeah, it's, but other than the procedure, just the.
Yeah, you can,
no, I was gonna tell you, I was telling that we just said we can't.
Well, I think what
Sure, we were inspecting the vehicle, so we get a parking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are they doing now?
Some,
Oh, okay.
What are they doing now?
we're gonna paint the shoulders.
Is that my
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll let, when they pull in there to the fence, then they'll have a, you know, that'll.
But who's perfect?
No, but yeah, sure, it's fine.
And then it's
Yeah, I don't have any,
two more spots.
sometimes
Before and after,
drive.
and if you go on, here's your next one. Then you go in.
Oh, yeah.
And just, and then up the website.
I haven't had any of that since I was staying in. So, yeah, so since it was, and the, this company, just get used to having something there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, can you feel it there, or is it?
Right now, it's still got the.
And then,
Yeah, it's got it's not 10, it's not 10.
yeah, actually, I think you can see.
It's about, well, $2 silver stacked together.
Now, do you have?
It's like a different one. Yeah. And I did this.
Well, yeah, it's good for 7 to 10 years.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, so I think it was,
so it's not.
I think it'll probably outlast me.
So it's not an annual ban or.
No, no, I go back in, like a wall, I have a transfer, nightstand.
This is our old
And
school.
it picks up
New school.
that
We
way,
need to shift.
tell,
Yeah.
and communicate
And I went home
some
to
center.
museum, right.
I don't know where it's at.
It was.
Oh,
And
okay.
you can tell whether it's working or not, you know.
You have
Yeah,
carry
so
something
anyway,
like that with you when you're driving.
Oh, no.
See you guys. So, yeah, so it's a real small group.
Yeah, it's working out okay. So maybe I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll be
well, I've been charged with opening the building, so.
I don't trust myself, Darren, anymore. I can't, I don't focus.
Mine don't always either. Well, they focus, but I have to have my flashlight with me.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
If I remember to turn the light on down there, then I'm okay.
But even with the light on down there, I still need a flashlight, you know.
Oh, yeah, sometimes, yeah. Hey, David. How are the, well, our kitties were in a big bidder the other day. We had our gutters replaced on our house. Well, of course, they could see people on the roof, see people out the window. So we went from one window to the other, all over the house. Watching.
Just making sure.
Yeah. Otherwise, things are going well. Talk to you later.
Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you, David.
David, you have a good trip over there? Tomorrow and everything? I know it was a downer. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And that's what, up the road there, away from Marble,
Yes.
40 over there, boy. Oh, good, you good, feeling okay? Good. I'm doing okay now. Yeah, I have an old baby. The old heart wasn't pumping away, so it was. So, and it seemed to be doing its job. We'll see whenever I get, right now I'm just trying to get some of my stamina. You know, for a couple of weeks I can really do my strength. And babying myself, but I did. Yeah. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's, so I've been able now to get back out and do some walking. It's amazing what the native people do anymore. Just gotta listen to them, they seem to know what they're talking about. I'm sorry. Oh, no, it's bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
One time.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. No, this, they said that, you know, the last 3, 7, 10